everybody. Welcome to the American Solidarity Party. My name is Brandon Peebles, and today we're going to be doing a stream with Mike Vick titled You Can Win Grassroots Local Elections. I'm Brandon Peebles. I do some work with the American Solidarity Party, doing videos and video editing. Uh, Mike Vick, would you like to introduce yourself to those who may be unfamiliar with you?
Absolutely. And again, thank you so much for hosting, Brandon, and thank you all for joining. So I will tell you, folks, some about myself. Again, my name is Mike Vick. I am the treasurer of the American Solidarity Party, but more apropos to what we're talking about right now, I am the Solidarity Party's candidate support lead. So I help out folks who run for office. I have personally run for office in the past, and we'll talk a little bit more about that during my talk. But yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Well, thank you, Mike. Feel free to take it away.
Awesome. So, just to give you folks a little more background about myself, I started out my political life in the Democratic Party. My father was the chair of the Democratic Party Central Committee in our county, in Del County in California, when I was growing up. He was later the chair of the executive board for the district and state party. So I had Congress people sitting at my house when I was a kid. I had local officials come to my house when I was a kid. I served as a student delegate at the 1996 California Party State Convention for the Democratic Party, where Bill Clinton spoke. Bill was actually obviously president at the time, and he took up 3 floors of the hotel room that I was staying at. I grew up with politics being a big part of my life. My dad wasn't super interested in sports, and I wasn't good at sports. So politics was sort of our sport, and we still talk about it to this day. My mother was a union teacher. My father was a union iron worker. My mother later became a school board member in our community there in Del County in California. I was born in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, and I later moved back there a couple times, and then spent the other half of my life in the Midwest. Midwest Upper South in Kentucky, and then Midwest proper, both here in Illinois as well as in Indiana. Now, when I started my post-college career, I have a degree in political science from the University of San Francisco, which sounds like a state school, but it's actually a Jesuit university. And because of that, my first job out of college was for the Archdiocesan newspaper, Catholic San Francisco, which was the official Archdiocesan newspaper for the Catholic Archdiocese of San Francisco. I am not Catholic myself. I was raised Protestant, and got involved in actually Messianic Judaism of all things when I was in college. But I continue to love the Catholic social teaching. And I joke with my Catholic friends that I feel like I recreated Catholic social teaching in my own head accidentally by being raised by Union Democrats who also raised me and my sister in what I look to as fairly theologically conservative churches. And so I am socially conservative and fiscally more progressive on racial justice issues, more progressive on environmental policy issues, and very close to an absolute pacifist in terms of my views on foreign policy. So getting more into my sort of professional background, I will tell you that I also, as I said, have a political science degree. I spent about 10 years in journalism in various capacities. But then in 2016, I decided to do something more directly with my political science degree, which is to work on activism. And so I moved up here to the Chicagoland area and worked for SEIU as a organizer, canvasser, trying to get home care and child care workers to join the union. Many of them did not know that a union represented them. So I would go door to door to folks that were in that field and would let them know about the benefits of joining the union. I worked again for SEIU in Northwest Indiana for John Gregg's gubernatorial race. He was running as a Democrat for governor in Indiana. I then worked for Working America in the Chicagoland area. Working America is an AFL-CIO affiliate. So we would knock on doors of people who were not in the union and raise money for union-related causes like raising the minimum wage and passing universal Medicare for all health care for folks. And I then worked for Greenpeace, again, doing door-to-door fundraising. Then I moved to Indiana, where I worked for the Indiana Democratic Party. That made me even more disillusioned with the Democratic Party than I was even before that. I was a supporter of Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign in 2016 and 2020. After I worked for the Indiana Democratic Party, I worked for a nonpartisan issue-oriented group called Citizens Action Coalition from 2018 until 2021. Where I served as a canvasser and later as field canvas director, and during COVID as a phone canvasser for them. CAC works primarily on utility policy, energy policy, trying to get utility companies not to gouge their customers, which often they do, and to push for green renewable energy in the state. So after that, or rather during that time, I did run for office. I ran for state rep in 2020 in Indiana's 29th district, very deeply red district. So at the time, I was, of course, a Democrat. I ran as a pro-life Democrat, and I had the unique distinction of being endorsed by both the Democrats for Life of America and the local Young Democratic Socialists of America. And because I was, more to the left on many issues, and did at that time, before finding out about the American Solidarity Party, identify as a Democratic Socialist. So when I found the Democratic Party, it was during when I found the Solidarity Party, it was during that race for office when Bernie Sanders did not win. I was looking for another candidate. Typically, prior to that time, I would have voted for a Green Party candidate because even though obviously I am pro-life and more socially conservative on a number of issues, owing to my faith, I am more to the left on most other issues, and I didn't know that there was an option for me out there to be both. So I am very thankful to God that I was not impressed with the Green Party's candidate in 2020, because the fact that I was not impressed with them made me look for another option, and that's when I found the American Solidarity Party and our candidate at the time, Brian Carroll. So just a few days actually after finding out about the party, I was on the phone with our party's vice presidential nominee, Amar Patel, who many of you may have heard earlier today, talking about intentional solidarity. And I got on the phone with several other party members and found that not only did I like the candidate who was running for president at the time, I loved the party. So I was, as I said, running for office, but did not feel that I could, in good conscience, do anything other than support the candidate that best fit my values, and to talk about that publicly, which certainly didn't engender a lot of good feelings among the elite folks in the Democratic Party. And so I still got lots of votes in that race, roughly as many votes as the previous Democrat who ran. But I was, I believe, the only major party nominee that year to endorse the American Solidarity Party, and was proud to have done so. I did not leave the Democratic Party until after that race because were a number of election laws in Indiana that might have made it possible for the Democratic Party to remove me from the ballot, even though I was the nominee at the time. So in January of 2021, I joined the American Solidarity Party enthusiastically and was very public about that, and later joined leadership in my state. I joke that I was chair of the Indiana Solidarity Party for about 3 minutes prior to deciding that I needed to move back to Illinois, where I joined the race of Pastor Chris Butler, who many of you may know was our endorsed candidate in the 2022 race for Congress in Illinois' first district. I served as his political director and was very glad to do so. I still work with Pastor Chris in the work that he does with the AND campaign, where I am a coordinator of the Chicago chapter. The AND campaign, for those of you who are not familiar with it, is very similar to the American Solidarity Party. I liken it to what if the American Solidarity Party was a Protestant parachurch organization instead of a political party, and that is definitely AND. Pastor Chris now works for the Center for Christianity and Public Life, which is an organization that was founded by Michael Ware. And he continues to pastor at my church, which is the Ambassador Church in South Holland, Illinois. So that's just a little background about me. I serve in state leadership here in Illinois. And as I said last year, I was elected as a national leader. Prior to that, you may have seen me in your inbox, where I served for about 1.5 years on and off as the party's development director, where I did a lot of fundraising for the party, and was very glad to do that work, and very happy to be doing the work that I'm doing right now. And so that brings us really to the topic of the night, which is that you can win. You can win for local office. I joke a lot that we probably have per capita more elected officials in our party than any other party in America, and that's a truth. But it is because we have a number of local officials at various levels around the country, and our goal is to see more people do that. Now, as our own Dustin Pieper here in Illinois, he's one of those elected officials. He serves as an alderman, which is a fancy way of saying is he's on the city council, and he serves in Batavia, Illinois, in that capacity. And Dustin wrote a 3-part blog series, which you can find on our website. And the title of the first one was Get Informed. The title of the second was Get Involved. And the title of the third was Get Elected. So you may not take all of those steps. We encourage folks to go through all of those steps, but the first step really is to get informed. Many people who are interested in politics, and if you're watching this, you certainly are interested in politics, but there is a difference between being interested in politics and maybe talking about politics with your friends or online, and doing politics. In order to do politics, to graduate from being what is often termed a political hobbyist, someone who as I said earlier, almost treats politics like it's a sport. And you maybe know about national level politics, but you might not even know who your local officials are, or certainly how to contact them, or what time the school board meets, or where they meet, or when the city council meets. But those types of things are out there in pretty much every community, and you can get involved, and you should get involved as a citizen. And so the easiest way to do that is to look up your local city's website or your county's website, or both, and find the opportunities that you can to go out to those meetings. And Dustin got elected by just showing up. And as you might imagine, sadly, not many people do show up. So if you continue to show up, really just listen at first about the ideas that are going on, and maybe attend a committee meeting of that council, if they're open to the public, which many of them are. Committee on public works, or committee on the park system, or whatever that happens to be, issues that are of interest to you, and maybe you have something to say about, and you can come up and speak on those issues, and you can introduce yourself afterward or before to your city council members. Amar Patel, who I mentioned earlier, found out, unbeknownst to him, that his city council member actually lives right down the way from him. So he was able to talk to him personally and develop a relationship there. So those are some of the things that you can do when you go from being informed to being involved. Now, that third step is get elected. And obviously that requires, in many cases, running for office, but sometimes not. There are appointed positions that are available. And I'll note that there are thousands of positions that are up for election every year, where nobody runs. So someone has to get appointed. So you may be running at a local level completely unopposed. So in many of these elections are nonpartisan, which is good for us. And you can knock on people's doors and get to know them. That is the best way to get elected, is to go out there into your community and knock on doors and tell people about why you're running and what you want to do in your office, and you're focusing really on those local issues. So we do want to let you know, of course, that there are resources to make that happen. But each local victory is really a building block for our larger movement. By winning these local races, we show that there's an appetite for a different kind of politics, one that's focused on people rather than power. So if you believe in a consistent ethic of life, if you believe in being pro-life from conception until natural death, if you value community and local decision making, if you're committed to economic justice and a safer world for all, if you believe in ecological stewardship and protecting the environment, then the American Solidarity Party is your political home, and you have a place here, and we want to help you to put those values into practice at the local level. There are a number of ways that we can show you how to do that. One of the best sources of seeing what a type of platform might be at the local level is to look at our friends at Strong Towns. So Chuck Marone has written several books on this topic. The main one, the first one you should take a look at is Strong Towns, and you can find that on his website. You can also get engaged with the organization as a what they call local conversations leader. And Dustin, our own Dustin Pieper, as I mentioned, is one such person who is involved at the local level in the things that Chuck is doing, basically focused on building communities for people. We in the American Solidarity Party care about the dignity of the human person. So we want to build communities for people rather than for big businesses and for particularly cars, where communities are not walkable, and you would struggle to actually live and work in a community without having to drive long distances, as many people do nowadays. So, understanding those local issues, what challenges are facing your town, talking to people, listening to their concerns, attending local meetings, as I said, is a big part of making that happen. So, if you head to our website and you click on Run for Office, that will get you into my inbox, and I'll be setting up a time when we can talk one-on-one. But I will also plug the resources that are available from a partner organization that we have partnered with, and many of our candidates have partnered with in the past, and that is Good Party. Goodparty.org is where you can find them. Good Party is not a political party. They are a group of activists and political operatives who were tired of only being able to work for Democrats and Republicans and really wanted to disrupt the system. And the way that they have managed to do that is to offer resources and training for free. So almost everything that they offer is for free. When you run for office, oftentimes most people have never done it before. I'll tell you, I've been around politics my whole life, and didn't know what I didn't know about running for office until I got out there and ran. And there's still lots of things that I continue to learn about that process of running. So there are resources there. They have a great learning community on a platform called Circle. They have lots of videos and free webinars that you can attend. And one of the great things that they do offer, both for folks that are interested in getting involved behind the scenes in a race, or just learning about what it means to run in a race, even if you're not committed yet to running for office, or if you are a person who definitely wants to run for office, they have a resource that lets you know and search in your local community about what races are available in the next couple cycles, as well as a great tool that is AI based. It's very slick, and it puts together social media content that you can share directly on your social platforms. It puts together website material that you can post to your campaign website. And it also creates a campaign plan. So essentially, it's like having a campaign manager without having to hire a campaign manager or find someone who has the time to volunteer to be a campaign manager. The whole goal really is to make sure that you, as a candidate, are spending the least amount of time possible in front of a computer screen and are rather out there knocking on doors with people in your community and talking to actual voters face to face. That face to face interaction is the most important way that you can connect with people, and it is the single greatest predictor that someone will actually vote for you, that they met you face to face. But if you're running at the local level, often you may not think about it, but you have the time to actually knock on every single door. Now, one of the things that Good Party gives you access to once you go through the process of becoming a Good Party certified candidate, and essentially that process is very simple. You just run a positive issue-oriented campaign, pledge that you're going to do that, pledge that you will take only individual contributions rather than contributions from special interests or from corporations, for example. And you also, obviously they have a very low bar for ideological stuff. They're not really concerned whether, you are, presenting a particular ideological framework, as long as you're not a crazy person and very negative. So, all of our candidates really would qualify, certainly for that. And for $10 a month, which is a ridiculously low price, I can tell you as someone who has run for office in the major parties, for $10 a month, you get access to the voter file in a highly searchable way, so that you can target your door knocking campaigns, and as well as access to their targeted and mass messaging services that you can use to send out messages to your supporters and to potential supporters in your community. So these are some great resources that are available. Of course, at the local level, we do have lots of folks that are involved in our party, and we will put you in touch with them. And many of them either have political experience in the past, or are going through this process of learning more about it through Good Party. And they can serve as your volunteers, and we are continuing to work on training folks in that capacity, so that we have a team of campaign managers, of treasurers, of field directors, of political directors, and the kinds of things that you would need to run a campaign. But again, the nice thing about Good Party's resources is they essentially provide you with what a campaign structure would look like if you either have the ability to raise the money to pay folks for doing that, or if you have folks that are either students and therefore have a lot more time than folks that are in the workforce, or maybe retired and have a lot more time than folks who are in the workforce. But you have the ability, as I said, when you're out there knocking on doors, to find more and more people that have that capacity. Now, I've knocked on tens of thousands of doors. I will tell you there are lots of tips and tricks for doing that, and we can walk through that with you. When you decide to run. But the main thing is just getting used to doing it. Actually, most people are happy to talk with you. If you present yourself in a positive way and let them know that you're not out there selling anything. I will note that in that political canvassing thing, you are not a solicitor, so solicitation laws do not apply to you. You are, of course, not out there to debate the finer points of solicitation law. So if somebody doesn't want you on their door, then the best thing to do is just to wave, smile, and head out. But you want to focus on finding your supporters. Don't spend a ton of time out there in the field arguing with people. Spend a lot of time out there finding those key supporters that you're going to need in order to run the race and to do so well. So we're going to help you with all of that. Anyone who finding anyone who believes in your message, activating people for that purpose, people that either your family members, your church. These are ideal people that would become what is termed super volunteers, people who are willing to do a lot for you because they know you, they love you, they care about you. Now, I will tell you, of course, that a big part of running is that you are going to need to do fundraising. And many people are not used to doing this, but I will tell you, when you go out there and really get to talking with people, the key thing is really to talk about your values, but to talk about yourself. People are a lot more interested in why you're running and who you are than they are in your 15-point plan. So when you get someone who's really engaged and knows a lot about the issues, maybe you can get into the weeds on policy, and that's always fun. And certainly you should have a 15-point plan for your what you would do if you get into office. I would encourage you to hone that down for your website, because the more ways that you get into the weeds on issues in that sort of impersonal, not face-to-face way online, the more chances you have for people to either disagree or misunderstand. So the easiest way to iron out those differences is in person. But you do want to have, a set of values. I've tended to copy paste our principles onto campaign websites, and you want to, of course, hone that down into the context of your local race by looking at things like um, strong towns for your local context, and really just knowing the issues that are going on in your community, the maybe top 3 issues that are most important for whatever the context is, whether you're running for school board or running for city council, or a county commissioner job, or parks district, or whatever it happens to be. We have folks that have run at every level. We do encourage folks to run at any level. This is, specifically a talk about, grassroots campaigns, and that is, of course, where you have the best chance of actually winning. But we encourage folks, if you're interested in running for a higher level office, as a way of having a sort of larger platform to spread awareness of our party. We certainly, would always be open to folks running. We have candidates who run at every level, from president on down to school board, and everywhere in between. But for our sort of higher level, so to speak, offices, whether it's president or senator or congressman or governor, or even, really at our stage, state rep or state senator is a higher level office that may be very difficult for you to attain as an independent candidate if you don't have an existing network, or a good amount of money, or the ability to raise a good amount of money. Oftentimes, even state rep races could cost upwards of $200,000, or as much as maybe $500,000 in some larger districts, upwards of $1 million or more. So in order to win, that is. But we encourage folks to run it at whatever level you feel comfortable with. Certainly, as I said, we encourage folks to run at that hyper local level, where it's much easier to win, and where you probably already know a lot of folks at that local level and can activate them. But what we encourage for folks who are interested in running maybe for a higher level office, where there are opportunities, maybe particularly in states where it's easier to get on the ballot, we encourage you to think about that race as a way to elevate other people at the local level, whether that's elevating folks who are actually running, or trying to help find people while you're running to run for those lower level offices, or just getting more people engaged at the local level, in our party. And so many people don't realize that in order to do the work that we're doing in our party to help get candidates the resources that they need, and to help get our message out, it takes money. Often we don't think about that, and so the way that we reckon our voting membership, the ability to vote in our local elections, our primary elections, as well as in our primaries for president, or if we had a primary at a lower level, as well as endorsing candidates at every level in our state parties. In order to do that, you all you need to do, and it's very easy, is head to our website, solidarity-party.org, and click support. Or many places on the website it says join the movement or join the party. And doing that just takes as little as $1. We do, of course, encourage folks who are able to give more because it helps us to get those resources into the hands of our local candidates, who may be you. And we hope that it is you. But joining our party in that way helps us to get that message out. But it also does give you those privileges to vote in our primary elections. And we do have an important election coming up, and that is our convention. So folks are going to be running for delegate, either from their own state. We have several states that will be sending their own delegations, and then we do have a number of states that will be sending regional delegations. So you have the opportunity very soon, if you join our party tonight, which we encourage you to do if you're not already a member, or to make sure that you renew that membership. So you do that by May 5th, and you have the opportunity to vote for delegates in your region or in your state. Now, I will note you also have the opportunity to run for delegate. First year that I was a member of the party, I ran, and was not well known enough at the time to win, but I have won as a delegate candidate in each successive year. And last year, as I mentioned, I was elected to the national committee. Now, if you're interested in that sort of national level leadership, we definitely encourage folks to do so, to run for delegate to our convention, and to run for national committee, if that's something that you are interested in. The great thing about doing any of these levels, and you can get involved, like I said, at your state level. In many states, we don't have many, if any, active people involved in the party, and so we encourage folks in whatever state you're in to get involved at the local and state level. And oftentimes you can become a state level leader, certainly a local level leader, just by raising your hand and saying that you want to do it. And so we do have elections, of course, at that local and state level for folks who are involved in leadership in our party. And so you get elected, in our local elections, and again, you have the ability when you join the party to both to become a local or state level leader within our party, and also to join us in that way, in running for delegate or running for your state committee, to be in leadership. And being a leader, helps you to train for that ability to go out there and run for office. It also puts you in touch with all of our local leaders who can help you in that potential race when you run for office. So, I'll make that pitch one more time here. Head to our website. It is solidarity-party.org. And at the top, in the bar at the top, there are two links that you'll want to click on. The first, of course, is the support, the join, the contribute link at the top right. And then sort of in the middle there is a page with a very brief form that you can take a look at. And we also have a frequently asked questions thing on that page about running for office. And that just says run for office. Very simple to find. So, I see that we have a few questions in the audience, so I will just leave you with the fact that when you're running, stay positive. Campaigns can be tough. There will be challenges. There's going to be setbacks. There may even be negativity. Just let that run off your back. you should be out there with a positive, issue-oriented campaign, talking about why you're running in a positive way to help your community. Stay focused, keep going. That persistence is going to pay off. Running for local office with the American Solidarity Party is not just about winning an election. It's about building a better community and a better society. It's about living out your values in the public square. It's about making a real difference. It is a challenge, but it's a challenge that's worth undertaking. So we encourage you to get involved, run for office, support a candidate, make your voice heard, and let's build a future for solidarity together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike. We do have a couple questions to go through. Right now is our time to take audience questions. So if you guys watching have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment, and we'll go through those now. All right, first up, we have a comment here. Can you give us a framework for analyzing the races we are eligible for in order to determine which races are winnable and which are not?
Sure. So as I mentioned, you're going to want to focus on really hyper local races, and just to run through some of examples of that. You're not even really talking about mayor, unless you are probably already deeply involved. Maybe you're already a school board member, or you have a good amount of existing support and name recognition in your city. You're talking about school board. You're talking about library board. You may be talking about park commissioner, or I'm sorry, park board, which, oftentimes some of these are not even elected positions. They are appointed. So, getting involved by being out there in your community, and going to the school board meeting, going to the city council meeting frequently, and getting your face and your name out there is super important, because you could get appointed to these types of boards and committees. But you're talking, as I said, about hyper local races, and so getting to learn what those races are, and getting out there into the community is a way that you do that. And I will plug once again, there's a search engine on the goodparty.org website where you can find those very local races to run for. So I wouldn't discourage anyone from running for a higher level office, running for mayor, running for a state rep, as I did. It can be a way to get your name out there for a lower level race down the line. And there's a lot of examples where this happened. The guy that I supported for president in 2016 and 2020 ran for Senate and for Congress a number of times in a third party before he ran as an independent for mayor, and won by 10 votes, rather, by knocking on a lot of doors in Burlington, Vermont, and that was Bernie Sanders. There's a lot of examples of that. Barack Obama ran for Congress, and it was the only race that he ever lost. He ran against the gentleman that Pastor Chris Butler ran against, Bobby Rush. And so then he ran for lower level office off the name recognition that he was able to develop by running for that higher level office. So that can be a thing. And sometimes you may need to run, a few different times for the same race or for, different, types of offices before you break through. And you're building that support as you go along. You're building the network. You're building the voter contacts. And so the next time that you run, maybe you didn't win the first time, but you've developed those skills, and you've developed that Rolodex, so to speak, of people that you can call on to support you in later races.
Thank you for that. Let's see. Don't forget, guys, you can feel free to submit your questions at any time, and we'll respond to them. I have a question myself, though.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people who have maybe thought about running for office, but they're not really sure, is this for me? I don't really know if this is the right decision to make. What advice would you give to somebody for something that maybe they could do in the meantime to
Yeah.
in order to help make that decision of whether or not this is right for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So a few things I'll say about that. One, don't be intimidated by the idea of running for office. As I mentioned to you, I've been involved in politics for a long time. I was involved as really a super volunteer before I could even vote. But I didn't know what I didn't know before I ran. And so you get your name out there. It is what you make of it, essentially. We have folks that decide to run, and their entire goal is just to get the name of the party out there. They don't know if they're going to win, and they might not even have in mind that they could win. They're running maybe for a higher level office where it's highly unlikely that they're going to win, but they're out there with the goal. So what's your goal? If your goal is to win, which obviously we encourage folks to have that as a goal, and you really always want to say that that's your goal, and that it's possible to do so. But it is possible to win, and many of the resources that I talk about, the resources that we have, the people that we can activate, and in some cases, depending on the race and the viability of the race, the money that we can get you, or the people that have money that we can point your way, can help you to do that. Now, as far as discerning, whether or not it's for you, or things that you can do in the meantime to determine whether it's something that's for you, is really those first couple steps that Dustin Pieper mentions in his blog post, which is get informed and get involved. So, as I said, many people will sit around on Facebook talking about Donald Trump or Joe Biden or international politics, or things that really we care about and we should care about, but we don't have a big immediate impact on those things if we're not pairing up with millions of people who think like us, in order to go out to protest or have strikes or support a candidate that will fight against some of these folks in the major parties. So getting involved at the local level, getting informed first off about what's going on in your local community, and being active in civic organizations. Doesn't have to be being involved in sort of hyper political organizations. Being involved in just civic organizations, getting out there in the community and helping, whether it's cleaning up a riverfront, or cleaning up a beach, helping, volunteering at Soup Kitchen, volunteering at your local pregnancy resource center. I didn't even know I was passing by a place I pass by all the time, and didn't even realize, because I'm looking at the road, didn't realize until I happened to notice it on the side of the road, that there's a pregnancy resource center right there. So I'm involved at the national level in political activism on the pro-life issue, but I'm going to get involved at the local level, actually helping people, and so you're doing that because you're a decent person and you want to help in your community. But when you do it wearing an American Solidarity Party T-shirt, then people start asking questions, and you can develop that sort of network of folks that you can potentially use down the line to help you out when you're running for office. But you're going to want to talk to your family, because it will affect them. You're going to want to talk to people in your church about the idea, and you may find that you get informed, you get involved, and you decide not to take that step, not to take it right now, or maybe not ever to take that step. We encourage people to know that there are lots of ways that you can get involved without running for office. Again, there are many lower level positions that you can have in a community that can impact folks that are go unfilled sometimes, and they get appointed. Some of those positions are never an elected position, and so getting informed and getting involved is the way that you actually get appointed to those races, but those types of things in your community. But some of them, again, they not only is there not like more than one person running in the race, there's nobody running in the race. And so in order to fill that position, depending on the local laws, sometimes those positions get appointed as well. So you get an elected position without even having to run. So it just depends on what's going on, in your local community, and the size of your local community, whether that's the case. So, but definitely talk to us. Like, even if you're not sure if you're going to run for office, if you think you might want to run for office, uh, go to our website, solidarity-party.org, click on the run for office button as if you were already decided, and just let me know. Many of the people that have contacted me through that brief form that we have on our website aren't even sure whether they're going to run for office yet. And we can talk through that, and I can help you make that decision. So those are some of the things that I encourage folks to do for sure.
Thanks, Mike. So we do have some more time for some more questions. I have one here I'd like to ask. I live in Orlando, and Orlando's a big city, and getting involved with Orange County government can be kind of a monumental task. I've been on their website, I've looked around, and it's like, for some of us who live in big cities, we might have a very different experience from what like Dustin Peeper's experience was. It's very inspiring to hear how you can walk into some of these places and just make your face known and make your name known, and start talking to people, and before you know it, you can get involved. But for those of us who live in giant cities, that experience can be a lot more daunting. It can be harder to get into some of these meetings, harder to kind of make yourself known and to kind of get out there. So, do you have any special or specific advice that you would give to somebody like me who lives in Orlando, or somebody who lives in, Miami, LA, New York?
Yeah. So I will note briefly on Dustin's case, that when I first heard his story, I was picturing like 500,000 people in the town, and there's actually 26,000 people in Batavia. It's not a huge city, but it's certainly not a wide spot in the road. So oftentimes, even in these like mid-sized cities, as many as 50,000, maybe even 100,000 people, there aren't many people that go to the city council meeting. There just aren't. And so getting involved in your local school board, getting involved, at the parks district, or getting involved in your city council, you're certainly not going to be alone there, in some of these larger, or mid-sized cities. But you do have an opportunity to speak and to get your name out there. But if you're in a very large city, it can be daunting, and you may not know the way in there. So there are oftentimes in larger cities, more local things that are going on, neighborhood community boards, and ways that you can find things that are going on at the local level, that are being directed, by folks at those higher levels. So I would encourage people. So I live in a smaller suburb of Chicago, about as far south as you can be and still be thought of as a suburb. So I normally, because most political work goes on in places where there are a lot of people, in terms of getting jobs, that is, in that type of work. So I usually would work in Chicago, and I still do, but nowadays, a lot of that work is remote. So in the middle of the day, I go out into the community. I'm not that far from downtown, and so I'm not going to the city council meeting on most of those days because it's not happening on most of those days. But I've found local stores and local restaurants and local coffee shops, and I get to know people that way. I found out that there's a local rail museum that I didn't even know existed. I knew that there was an old Amtrak station, and Amtrak still stops in my community, but I didn't know there was a museum. And I like trains, and so I went into the museum and started talking with the local guys there, and they told me a lot of things about the community, both its history and current day, that I didn't know, had no idea about. And this is a community that I've lived in for years. And so, I just sat around talking about trains with them and talking about my community, Kankakee. And so those are some of the things that you can get involved in. Support your local cooperative enterprise, support your local small business. Um, try please to not be spending all of your time and money at the big box store. Get involved in your local community, vote with your feet and with your dollars in that local community. Go to your local public library and get involved in some of the free resources that they have. And as you get involved there, you're going to have potentially the opportunity to meet enough people and get involved enough so that um, who to talk to when you decide to run for library board. So these are the kinds of things that I would encourage folks to do. Again, don't just shop at these places, though. Really get to know people at them, talk to them. Even at your if you have to go to a big box store, and the person has a name tag on, please use their name. These kinds of jobs they're so dehumanizing, and we are all about people. So please get involved in your local community, get to know people that you might not otherwise meet. Get out there and talk to people and help in any way that you can.
Thanks, Mike. We only have a couple minutes left, so we'll keep this question brief. But I do want to ask, you talked about your story of being involved in politics from a very young age, and that's awesome. And I know we have a lot of very young people who are involved in the American Solidarity Party. We have the whole Young Americans for Solidarity wing. I've been involved in that Discord in the past, and I've seen we do have like a lot of college students, even high school students. And so, what advice would you give to somebody who's a young person and somebody who's thinking about getting involved with the American Solidarity Party or even potentially running for office in the future?
Don't let anybody steal your idealism. I almost teared up there for a second, because what I will say is that when I was involved in politics as a kid, it was Democratic Party politics. It was very normal. I had one friend, that was actually a friend of my dad's, who was a socialist. So that's about as far outside the mainstream as you get at that time. So don't let somebody tell you that you need to be a Democrat or a Republican and be involved. More and more people are independents. Actually, the largest number of people in the country are independents, and so there are more and more people that are getting involved and winning in politics. Good Party has helped thousands of people win, not just run, but win. And so don't let anybody steal that from you. So I'm really encouraged by the stuff that's going on at YAS, and I tell you all that as much as I can. I was not hyper involved in super niche politics as a kid. So please keep that in idealism, because I love it.
Thank you, Mike. This has been a very informative, very educational stream here today. So thank you for everything. I think this has gone phenomenal and fantastic. It was great to hear from you today.
Thank you for having me.